So now we get into our speaker for the day, and we have another interesting and amazing Baba lover, Lauren, in the house to speak to us today. He traveled to India in 1988 and met Baba's beloved Mehra. During 2002, Lauren came into contact with Meher Baba's close disciple, Don E. Stevens, who worked directly with beloved Baba on God Speaks and Discourses. It was Don Stevens who asked Lauren to work with him on forgiveness. Two books came from that work: one, The Doorbell of Forgiveness in 2011, and two, Forgiveness with Meher Baba in 2016. Lauren's most recent book is Surrender with Meher Baba, which released in 2020. This book will be the topic of discussion today. Surrender with Meher Baba reminds us that the spiritual path is unique to each individual. Avatar Meher Baba places emphasis on the relinquishment of the ego as a necessary step along the spiritual path. Here, with his skillful inquiry, Lawrence shows us how Meher Baba wades into the waters of surrender with full confidence that the spiritual aspirant over time will recognize both the difficulty and the inherent value in taking steps towards surrender. Lawrence's love for Meher Baba shines through each page as he explains his understanding of the path Baba has laid out for all of us. So please welcome Laurent.
Okay, good, great. Well, good morning, everybody, and good evening in India. This is my first EastWest Satsang, so I'm very, very happy to be here. I brought with me a copy of the book, Surrender with Meher Baba. And since there's so many people, I see 41 people, rather than do it interactive style, what I'd like to do is spend the beginning getting everybody warmed up, and then I can leave the end of the session for questions and answers. Does that sound good to everybody?
Sounds great.
Okay, so I have a little bit of an agenda here. First, I'm going to read you a quote from Baba. And this is one that many of us know, but maybe don't completely understand. Understanding has no meaning. Love has meaning. Obedience has meaning. Obedience has more meaning. Holding of my Daman has the most meaning. Meher Baba. Let me do it one more time. Understanding has no meaning. Love has meaning. Obedience has more meaning. And holding of my Daman has the most meaning. So when we talk about that with Baba, you know, Baba used to take his own sadra and hold it like this and tell people, hold on to me, right? Because he was in silence. He would make that gesture, hold on to me, hold on to my Dhamma. So when we talk about it in terms of surrender, Baba has said, love comes first, then it matures into obedience, finally surrender. So here he's saying, understanding with your mind is not the goal. Loving is what's required so that we can become obedient, and finally, holding his Dhamman, I believe, this is my interpretation, means surrender. Because when you're holding on to Baba's Dhamman, he's guiding, your hands are busy with him, not with something else that's distracting you. Your feet are following him because you're holding him, you're following him. Does it make sense? That's, for me, the meaning, if there's a meaning in this quote, it's to hold him means surrender. That's what I get from it. All right. So here's another one. This is my interpretation, right? This is from page 8. Some of you might have the book and can follow along. Spiritual advancement is a succession of one surrender after another until the goal of the final surrenderance of the separate ego life is completely achieved. I'll do it one more time. Spiritual advancement is a succession of one surrender after another until the goal of the final surrenderance of the separate ego life is completely achieved. So why is it a spiritual path? So let's just talk about that for a second. Baba doesn't say, when you come to me, surrender your separate ego life. Because that's the last thing. That's the absolute last thing, is separate ego life becomes merged in Baba and you're one. So he's not saying start with that. He says that's the end. And everything up until that point, all the surrenders up until that point are the path. And before we can surrender to Baba, most people, we start with love. And over time, that love matures to where we can surrender. So he doesn't ask to start like surrender everything at the start. He says that's what's required, but it's a gradual process for most. And he even said, if you ever see somebody who makes rapid spiritual progress in their lifetime, he said they're not making rapid spiritual progress. They've made that progress in previous lifetimes. So when they come into this one, they review all that in rapid succession, and it looks like they're making rapid progress, and then they continue from where they left off, right? Next one is on page 24. This is one of my favorite Baba quotes ever. I hope you like it too. Angela, you might have heard this one. Through unfathomable ways, I lead you to liberation. Accept my rhythm. Come in tune with it without reservations. My rhythm of truth shall redeem you. It will open your heart. It will give you new love. Wow. I got to read it again. Cliff, I hope you're hearing this because this is about rhythm. Through unfathomable ways, I lead you to liberation. Accept my rhythm. Come in tune with it without reservations. My rhythm of truth shall redeem you. It will open your heart. It will give you new love. And when I read this yesterday, it will give you new love, really struck me. New love. That's not saying it's going to bring the love in your heart out. That's not what I'm hearing. It's a gift. Baba's rhythm of truth is a gift giving us new love. It's like a give and take. It's reciprocal, right? We make the effort to come into tune with Baba. And what does that mean? If Cliff is playing drums, that's his rhythm. The singing should be in harmony with the rhythm, or else it sounds weird, right? So Angela and Cliff did an amazing job coming into harmony with each other. And here Baba's saying, come into harmony with me. Look who came into harmony with Baba, beloved Mera, right? I met her in Mehrabad and also at Meherzad, both. Right? Look at that. That's what surrender with Meher Baba looks like. If anybody wonders, what does it look like to surrender? It looks like that. She surrendered completely, totally, completely. That's the goal. All right. Next one is on page 51. So a little story here. A friend of mine, Tom Wolfe, said to me, I found a Hafiz poem that contains both cypress and aspen. Cypress and aspen are two trees that are in America. We have cypress trees and we have aspen trees. And my children are named Cypress and Aspen. I named them after those trees. So he said he found a poem that says Cypress and Aspen. So I said, I got to see this. So I got the poem, and I don't speak Farsi or any Persian language, right? But I know a little bit. And so I got oh yeah, there you go. Thank you very much, Roshan. That's one of the two poems, yes. That's the one that has cypress and aspen in it. And so I got my friend Azita Namaranian, and I said to her, can we look at the original of this poem? And this is the original right here that you're seeing. I said, can we look at the original and see what he says? And so he does say cypress tree. And I found the word that my friend thought was aspen, and I translated it as willow tree. I'm not sure there were any aspen trees in Shiraz. But Hafiz wrote about it, and I'm going to tell you what we did is we sat for days and we translated it to be a fresh translation. I'm going to read you that translation. Remember, please, Baba's favorite poet was Hafez. So here's a poem of Hafez. And this is going to be the next poem, not this one about the cypress tree. This is going to be the next one that we translated. They're both in the book, okay? So here's the second one that we translated, which I thought would be perfect for this particular gathering. Everybody ready for Hafez? Baba's favorite poet, Jai Baba. That King of Kings, our beloved, is stealing the hearts of his lovers. One glance of his beauty enchanting them. Broken-hearted and intoxicated with love, they rush to his side. He joined my path, and approaching this dervish with his intoxicating presence, addressed me as Mashuk, his sweetheart among the inspired poets. He asked me, how much longer will you live alone like a poor fakir when you can live abundantly just as my fortunate slave? If that tiny speck like a dervish spins around the sun, don't sell yourself short. Love me, and you'll find yourself whirling towards the heart of the sun itself. Don't depend upon anything in this harsh world. Instead, pour into your chalice only gentle beauty and tenderness. That wine bringer, peace be upon him and his family, admonished me then to stop associating with deceivers. Beholding the field of succulent red tulips, I wonder who was so cruel to break their pure hearts. So many martyrs drenched in blood. Hafez answers his own question. You and I are not allowed to lift this shroud of secrecy. Remain focused on his love and the beauty of his luscious mouth. To escape from the antagonist, just hold tightly to the robe of Baba. Become the man of Yazdan and be protected from true evil, Ariman. Jai Baba. How's that for a poem? Amazing. Okay, I got a few more and then we can open it up for Q&A. This is page 53. I was in a job where I had to travel all over one part of America known as Arizona. I was living in Arizona, so I had to go everywhere in Arizona. And I went into a coffee shop, a restaurant, to get some breakfast. And it was one of those restaurants where they have signs and painted saws and tchotchkes and statues and all kinds of stuff. And the hostess takes me all the way through the restaurant, all the way back. And I'm thinking, where is she taking me? All the way to the back of the restaurant. There's a table there with a sign over it. She says, here, this is your seat. And the sign over the table said, half my suffering comes from wanting things my way, and the other half comes from getting them my way. And I thought, wow, now I know why she took me to this table. Baba wanted me to know that half my suffering comes from wanting things my way, and the other half comes from getting them my way. Amazing. So then, you're not going to believe this, but then you go to the next page, 54. This is what Mani told us, Baba's sister Mani. So I was at my friend Cynthia and Richard Griffin's home in Salem, Massachusetts. And we're having a nice talk and standing and talking in their kitchen, probably making some meal or something. And I look over at the refrigerator and there's Mani's handwriting on the refrigerator. I thought, that looks like Mani's handwriting. So when there was a pause in the conversation, I walked over to the refrigerator and sure enough, Mani's handwriting, and it said, Baba said to us, you either want what you want or you want what I want. You can't want both. Again, Mani's handwriting. Baba said to us, you either want what you want or you want what I want. You can't want both. So I read that and I said, what is this? And she said, Sohrab and Rustam, Baba's nephews, twin nephews, had come and given a talk. in Massachusetts, and they went to the talk, and they were handing this out to people. This words from Baba to Mani. Amazing. So this is, you get the theme here, how this is all connected to surrender. I hope you do. Okay, now on page 67. This is, I put this in the book because, you know, Baba said so much about surrender, and the book does not have everything that Baba said, but it has a lot that he said about surrender. And this one is for those people who think, I'm not sure I really need to surrender. So let's talk about this one. This is what Baba has said. The three most important things on the path to God realization are love, obedience, and surrender. There is no possibility of compromise about these three. Let me read it again. The three most important things on the path to God realization are love, obedience, and surrender. There is no possibility of compromise about these three. So I think what Bob is getting at here is, you know, it's not that there's any rush, right? He's not looking at his watch saying, when are you going to surrender? Come on now. He's infinitely patient. He's infinitely compassionate. He knows our ignorance. He knows our desires. He knows everything about us. And eventually, we have to surrender. Okay, on page 71. Yeah. Truth realization is born of such complete surrender to the engulfing love of God, of which the master is the physical symbol and the channel. Let's hear that one again. Truth realization is born of such complete surrender to the engulfing love of God, of which the master is the physical symbol and the channel. Notice he doesn't stop with symbol. That's important. Here's Meher Baba, right? He's a symbol of your higher self and beloved God, and he's our beloved master. But he says the master is the physical symbol of God and God's love and the channel. So then it becomes up to us, Baba said elsewhere in the discourses, it's up to us to establish that love flow, that channel. And the way we do that is remembering him. And then by remembering him, we love him. And by loving him, we obey him. And by obeying, we come to surrender. And it's all a story that's already been lived by so many. It's just, he's reminding us of that love story, which becomes a surrender story. Almost done now. Page 77. And all I've done is picked out some of the cherries and the nectar out of this book, but there's a ton more in here. I'm just giving you some of the highlights. Page 77. The only way to live a life of absolute inaction is to surrender completely to a perfect master. Then one dies entirely to oneself and lives only for the perfect master, acting and fulfilling the dictates of the beloved one. And I'm going to read that again. This time I'm going to bring Baba into it even further. The only way to live a life of absolute inaction is to surrender completely to Baba. Then one dies entirely to oneself and lives only for Baba, acting and fulfilling the dictates of the beloved one. And I hope Baba will forgive me. I changed the perfect master to Baba in the quote, but you know what he means, right? You get it. Okay, and then page 78. Again, this is one of those quotes that I could read every day, and I think everybody could benefit from reading or hearing every day. To love me as I love you, you must receive my grace. Only my grace can bestow the gift of divine love. To receive my grace, you must obey me wholeheartedly with a firm foundation of unshakable faith in me. And you can only obey me spontaneously as I want when you completely surrender yourselves to me, so that my wish becomes your law and my love sustains your being. Age after age, many aspire for such a surrender, but only very few really attempt to surrender to me completely as I want. He who succeeds ultimately not only finds me, but becomes me and realizes the aim of life. Okay, lastly, page 89. From the 7 realities. The only real surrender is that in which the poise is undisturbed by any adverse circumstances, and the individual, amidst every kind of hardship, is resigned with perfect calm to the will of God. I wanted to end with this one, especially because of the COVID-19 situation. I know there's lockdowns in India and other places, and protests all over the place. It's been a very challenging time for many, certainly for my family as well. Let me read it again. The only real surrender is that in which the poise is undisturbed by any adverse circumstances, and the individual, amidst every kind of hardship, is resigned with perfect calm to the will of God. And I discuss it quite a bit in the book, but at least another aspect of surrender is, it's all connected to everything we've shared, but it's how do I transform my ego's self-will to become in alignment with the will of God. And Baba gave us the answer already. He said, you either want what you want or you want what I want. You can't want both. So what it all leads to is, if you have self-will, that's what you want. If you strive to bring your self-will into alignment with the divine will, that's surrender. And then it becomes calm, and I believe you will hear Baba's guidance as he's promised. Remember me, and I am with you, and my love will guide you. Remember me, and I am with you, and my love will guide you. Jai Baba, Meher Baba. Okay, I think it would be good to have a set of Q&A, or if the Roshani
Yes.
or anybody
Yes.
wants to do anything else.
Sure. I would open it up. Till then, people can warm up to questions.
Sure.
I would like to ask you about this slide,
Yes.
Laurent.
Yes, so that's a great question. So I put
And
that
if
there.
you could speak a little forward, your voice is more clearer and louder when you're forward towards the laptop.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
But I have a headset on. That's funny.
Okay.
It
Yeah,
may
but
be that
somehow.
you didn't choose that as your microphone, but anyway.
Yeah, maybe.
Is it?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. Maybe I could do this. Is this better if I do this?
Yes, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. I just changed the setting a little bit. Okay. So, yes, that's a great question. So this one is a diagram that I created about 20 years ago, and I shared it with Alan Cohen, one of Baba's disciples. And he said, I have to use this in my work because I'd created this based on Baba's message, 12 ways of realizing me. And what I imagined was that in the center is the healthy state, and we can have 2 other possibilities. There's either healthy or there's deficient, which means not enough surrender. And then there could be toxic. And toxic means that the surrender has gone in the wrong direction. It's too much in a negative way, which becomes a hindrance or harmful. And I'll give you examples of this. But what we did is we did a couple seminars where I gave this diagram to the people in the seminar, about 20 people. And I said, can you come up with a pen and write on the diagram what your experience is of this diagram of healthy, surrender, deficient, and toxic, and tell me what this means to you. And they did an incredible job. So I'm going to share that with you right here. It's on page, let's see here. Yeah, here it is. It's on page 38 of the book. So this is what they created. They filled it all in with their writing, and I'll read to you so you can get an idea of what the participants said. They said, healthy surrender is remaining aligned with my moral principles while accepting that others will do the same. Prayer, being present, remember not to worry, accepting what is, doing my part without attachment to the results, letting go, intuitive guidance, inner peacefulness, loving what is, laughter, happiness and spontaneity, bliss, trust. So this is what the participants wrote about what healthy surrender is like for them. Deficient surrender, that's the one on the left there in the blue. When you don't have enough surrender, what is it like? Worry, doubt, lack of trust, survivor behavior, fear of loss, hopeless, powerless, withholding love, depressed, anxious, controlling others to conform to my personal whims, rationalizing my actions, justifying my actions, making up stories. And then toxic surrender, which some people were a little confused about, means the surrender is a lot or too much in a way that's harmful. Despair that no matter what I do, it won't change the world, so why bother? Not accepting responsibility for my actions, not taking responsibility for my intentions. Fear-based, I know best, shirking responsibilities, inauthentic, weak subservience, exhausting, denial, avoidance, giving up. So you see, what it turned out to be was a great exercise for people. And they said, wow, I never thought about it this way, that there are different ways that we can go about this. And we try to remain in a healthy state in the center. Does that make any sense? This was just an exercise to help people understand how they relate to surrender.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Sure.
I have one continuing question to this
Yes.
same thing, and I feel that could fall into the toxic zone possibly, and you could elaborate on that.
Sure.
That many a times we see that people mistake surrender to complacency.
Oh yeah, well
By
that's right.
so maybe you could throw light on that, and then it becomes positive or negative surrender, which is exactly
Sure.
what you have stated here.
Yeah, well, so the thing that comes to mind is repeatedly in Baba's lifetime, he would tell us to strive, S-T-R-I-V-E. He told Rick Chapman, you strive. Well, strive is an interesting word. It means to make an effort, right? That's the meaning of strive. Well, if you do this, I give up, and then you just sit back and say, Baba's going to have to do it. Well, you might live your whole lifetime like that without striving. So for me, this is the position of complacency. And striving looks more like this. It means we come forward and we offer. Remember, Baba said, love is a gift from God to man. Obedience is a gift from master to man. And surrender is a gift from man to master. And we could talk about the obedience part because that's hard for some people to understand how that could be a gift. But Baba made it very clear that what we can give, if we want to give him something, is surrender. That is something we can give, and that takes an effort. So when Baba says to strive, or Darwin Shaw says effort and grace, you make the effort to receive his grace, right? Baba repeatedly, and Hafiz repeatedly, all the great masters repeatedly said, you make the effort, you strive, and it needs Baba's grace. Both are true. But this, I give up, and then sitting back and letting Baba do it, that's the joke, right? How many Baba levers does it take to screw in a light bulb? None. They let Baba do it. Well, that's fine, but I don't know how many lifetimes you're going to live saying, let Baba do it. Maybe at some point you have to make that effort and strive. Does that help? Roshan?
Sorry, absolutely. Yes, yes. Thank you so much, because that emphasis is lost many a times. And when interacting with friends and, close circle of people, we often find that people have misunderstood the surrender part, and you beautifully just, enacted it by throwing yourself back on the couch and coming forward.
Well, that is complacency, right?
Yeah,
Complacency
exactly,
is this, right?
exactly,
And
exactly.
maybe foot up like this, right? Baba's
Yeah.
going to do it. But in reality,
Yeah.
every moment is an opportunity, believe it or not. So the day becomes filled. Like you can read Kaikobad, I believe, Kaikobad, Baba's disciple, repeated Baba's name 10,000 times a day, something like this, some crazy number, right? And you think 10,000 times. So you want to do the math. Is that every second? Like how often is that if you're saying it 10,000 times a day? But what it means is every single moment of the day is an opportunity to follow what I want, or to try to take a breath and say, what does Baba want here? Because I don't trust what I want, isn't it?
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. Thank you. We have Dilshad who would like to ask a question. Dilshad,
Sure.
please unmute.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
I liked the chart that you have made. My problem is I'm not being able to differentiate much between deficient and toxic. I mean, there are overlapping things like fear that is mentioned in both.
Yeah.
Overindulgence, if I mistake not. So how, and also if you can please relate it to something in our day-to-day life, or something by way of an anecdote. Thank you.
Sure. So sure, that's it. There's many anecdotes that are flooding into my mind. So, all right, take COVID-19. That's a good one that everybody is presently living with, right? I can wake up every morning in COVID-19 and say, if I go to the supermarket, I could get sick, my whole family could get sick, one of us could die. If I do anything outside of my house, I could get sick and some of us could die. So I could live in fear. Every morning I could wake up in fear. Oh my God, one of us is going to get sick and die. Or I could say, well, Baba, this is a very unusual time that we're living in. And Baba has said in other places, don't run away and try to find some safe place. No place will be safe. Stay at home and remember me, right? So I don't have to wake up every morning in fear. I can wake up, enjoy, have my coffee, be in joy. Baba is in my life. I have so much to be happy with. I have a beautiful wife. I have wonderful children. I have a job. And I can just relax into a state of acceptance, right? That's in the healthy surrender. Acceptance of what Baba has created. He said, the spiritual masters, he actually said, the spiritual masters control pandemics, natural disasters, wars. He said, Shirdi Sai Baba controlled World War I. Baba himself, he said, I controlled myself, World War II. These pandemics, these natural disasters, the spiritual masters, the spiritual hierarchy, the saints, they're controlling all that for the best for humanity. So I can go into a state of surrender, healthy surrender, saying, Baba, you're driving. Why do I think I need to drive? You're driving this whole humanity towards what's best for us. And I can go into active surrender to Baba about this whole situation. It doesn't mean I don't go to the supermarket. I do go to the supermarket. And when they say you need to wear a mask to come in here and buy food, I put the mask on. So I surrender to it and I don't live in fear. I do my best. Does it help? Oh, Dilshad, you're on mute. Can you come off mute?
Yes, I was waiting for the prompt for unmute. That was a brilliant example of surrenderance.
Oh,
I'm asking about toxicity.
Oh.
How would you differentiate between deficiency and toxicity? That was my question, but maybe we can take it up some other time.
No, I can do toxicity. I think toxicity, one of the things that comes up is surrendering to the wrong thing. So thinking that surrender means that no matter what happens, we should go along with it, right? So one example is like the Jains have a nice saying. They say, if you see something and you can't stop it from happening, at least bear witness, right? So let's say I'm going along and I see a man who's being abusive to his girlfriend. One form of surrender is complacency. Well, it's none of my business. Another form of surrender, and you know, what I think is a better way to go about it is to say, Baba has said the best thing in the spiritual life when something like this is happening is to stop the tiger from hurting the lamb, to stop this from happening. And he said, many humans are like tigers of lust and anger. So stepping in and saying, hey, this is not okay. So what I'm getting at is toxic surrender could be saying, oh, well, it's all Baba. I don't have any business in this. Well, maybe not. Maybe you do have some business. Maybe you're witnessing it and it's time to step in and say, enough, stop, right? So surrendering to the wrong thing, surrendering to the wrong situation, thinking that surrender means being complacent when it means sometimes stepping up and saying, enough. You're not going to speak to her that way. That's disrespectful. You're not going to abuse this person. I'm going to pull you off of this person, right? And I've done this in my life. I've been downtown. I used to go downtown and walk around at night just to see that everything would be okay. And there was a man who wouldn't let his girlfriend get away. He would block her into a doorway, you know, with his hands. She'd try, and he'd hold her wrist. So I walked and I stood near them, about maybe 10 feet away, and just looked at him. And he would look at me like, who is this? And just by bearing witness, it changed the situation. And then she got away and I followed them. He just kept looking at me. I didn't have an altercation with him, but by being present, it shifted the energy, right? Because now I was witnessing. Isn't it interesting? Things like that. So, you know, surrendering to the wrong spiritual force, thinking that, oh, well, this is some must on the side of the road. He must be with Baba. So if he tells me, you know, here, smoke this cigarette, I should smoke it because he's one of Baba's musts. Maybe that's not what you should be doing at all. Maybe you should leave that person alone because you're focused on Baba. So being one pointed on Baba. Baba's the master that I've chosen. So I'm not going to surrender to some must who looks like he's holy. That's Baba's business. That's not my business. There's so many cases, right? Maybe we should move on from that. But I could make a whole list of cases where I think it's too much surrender in the wrong direction. Oh, another one is somebody who you love is abusive to you, right? Your partner, your husband, your child, and you just say, oh, well, Baba has given me such a relationship. I should just take it. I should just let them speak badly to me, or let them hit me, or let them be abusive. And maybe that's not good for them or for you. So that's not the kind of surrender I think Baba wants. I think there's a time to say, hey, you know what? That's not the right way to treat each other. So let's not do that, you know? And this is a very delicate situation, right? But it's on a case-by-case basis, okay? Oh, I'll tell you one that I think is incredible. Just one. Some of you know Amrit and Dara in Mehrabad. Two of my favorite people in the whole world, Amrit and Dara. And Dara is Baba's nephew. And Amrit told me in Italy, she said that when her mother was had Amrit, she was pregnant with Amrit. This is at the time in the new life. Amrit was in her mother's tummy. Mother was pregnant. Baba came to Dehradun, and Amrit's father was a disciple of Baba. And Amrit's father said, Baba, while you're near here, let my wife and I make you some food. And Baba said, okay. So the women Mandali made a list of all the food that they should cook and bring. And Amrit said, so my father would take his motorcycle, and with one of the servant boys, between the father driving and the servant boy, all the food would be there, and the servant boy would hold on to the father, and the food was all there, and they would bring it to Baba. So this went on day after day. And then one morning, after a number of days of this, one of the women Mandalis said to Amrit's father, where's the rice? And he said, what? And they said, well, you brought so much beautiful food, but no rice? And he went, what? So he got on his motorcycle and he went back. And he said to the wife, her name is Subhadra, like Krishna's sister. He said, Subhadra, you didn't make any rice? And she said, oh, I guess I forgot. Oh well. And he smacked her. He smacked her. And Baba had sent one of the men Mandali on a bicycle. So about an hour and plus later, one of the men Mandali comes and says to him, Baba sent a message, don't punish your wife for the rice. And he said, oh, tell Baba it's too late. I did. So amazing. All of this is so amazing. I don't know if it was later that day or the next day. Subhadra is in the kitchen. And Amrit told me this story in Italy. She said, Subhadra's in the kitchen in her house clothes and all that. And she turns and Baba's standing in the kitchen and says, Baba says, forgive me. Because of me, your husband punished you. Please forgive me. And she's crying. She's crying because Baba's love touched her so deeply. And Baba said to the husband, come, ask your wife to forgive you. And then he said in front of her, never strike your wife in anger and punishment again, never. And he said, yes, Baba. And Amrit said, this was while she was in Subhadra's tummy. She said, she asked her mother about it. And she said, oh, he changed. After that, he was never like that again. He changed, he obeyed Baba. He never struck me again. What a story. See? Sorry that I'm crying. It happens sometimes. Jai Baba.
Beautiful story.
We have. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lauren. We have Ruth who would like to ask.
Sure.
Ruth, please go on.
Jai Baba, Lauren. Beautiful
Jai Baba.
tears. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Beautiful story.
Yeah.
My question is, in your book, do you address Baba's wish and his will? I mean, I'm sure it's like a 2-hour or 2-day conversation, but just curious about it.
Yes, that's a great question.
Thank you.
So many Baba lovers, Ruth, have no idea about the difference between Baba's wish and Baba's will. And it is a 2-hour conversation. And this comes up especially in the prayer of repentance at the end, where it says, our failures to live in accordance to Baba's will. But this came up with Erich, and Erich said it's actually the prayer was given in, I think, either Gujarati, probably Gujarati, but maybe Hindi. And the word is the same. It means the same thing in that language. So it's the translation is where it gets tricky. But Erich said it's better translated as wish than as will. But so that's how it is. We do bring that up, and it's Daniel J. Stone, my friend Daniel Stone, wrote about that particular subject in his chapter. The whole second half of the book is contributing authors, so don't miss the second half of the book. It's all incredible material from incredible people, and Daniel covers that thoroughly. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Alan Ray would like to ask something.
Sure.
Jay Baba, Laurent,
Jay Baba, brother.
what a wonderful talk.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, you too.
So, regarding complacency, you mentioned, of course, COVID-19, and here in the United States, regardless where one particularly feels connected to, whether it's on the left, on the right, or in the middle. It's hard to imagine not coming across a situation where someone before you is presenting something that is just unacceptable to you. For me, rather than engaging them, I just let it be. Do my best to stay in allowance.
Yeah.
And am I being complacent?
Right. I know it's a tricky one, right?
Exactly.
You know, I think what I've come to, this is very difficult for me personally, so I have to be honest with everybody about it. My therapist told me when I complained in therapy, she said, Laurent, you have a very long list of what's unacceptable. And I said, really? And she said, yes. She said, I want you to try to make your list of what's unacceptable smaller. And I thought, I said, well, maybe, and I'll try. So I went home and I tried, and it was very difficult for me, very, very difficult. I said, I don't like this at all. So I said, what if I reframed it and I turn it into making my circle of tolerance larger? And suddenly I could do that. And I thought, oh, I can do this. And then it became like, not only possible for me, but I kind of enjoyed it. Every time I'd see a situation or be in a situation and I'd think, oh, this is, and then I go, can I tolerate this? And so what happened is I was not completely successful. I'm not 100% tolerant, but I'm more tolerant. And then when I can't accept something and I can't tolerate it, I just say to myself, well, I can't. So I step up and I speak up. And there are times in life when I think Bob would want us to speak up and step up. And this is the kind of razor's edge of the spiritual path, right? So it shouldn't be about my personal wishes and my personal whims. I should try to be more tolerant with people. I get that. And there's a time when you just say, absolutely not. I don't know if you remember, there was a story that Baba told. He said there was an angel that, according to what people around Baba said, it was an angel that Moses met. And Moses said, I want to accompany you on your work. And the angel said, absolutely not. You will never be able to accompany me. You won't be able to understand my work or bear what I'm doing. And Moses, who was spiritually advanced, Baba said Moses was on the sixth plane. Moses said, well, please allow me to try. Allow me to be with you, please. And the angel said, okay, on one condition. If you at any point interfere or ask me questions or have an issue, you're out. You got to go away. And Moses said, fine, perfect, good. So many of you know this story. they went on these adventures together, this angel and Moses. And one of the many things that happened was they're walking on the beach and they come across a boy. He's a young teenage boy, and he's extremely disrespectful and mean. And the angel takes out a knife and kills him. And at that point, Moses just, this is after many other things that happened. Moses said, "What is this? How can you do that?" Right? And so the angel explains the situation, who the boy was, who he is, the karma of the parents, all this kind of stuff. And he says, "And you're done. You can't be with me anymore." And Moses goes off, and he has the wisdom of all these experiences with the angel. But I think the point is, we can't always know what God is asking from anybody. But if he's asking you in your life to step in or step up, that's between you and Baba, right? It's not in the discourses. Baba didn't write that in the discourses about what Alan Ray Powell has to do tomorrow in this situation. That's the intuitive guidance. That's why Baba said, "Remember me, and I am with you, and my love will guide you." So for me, it's about, in any situation, tuning into Baba. What do I need to be doing here, Baba? It might be to get everybody in the car and get home. It might be to get out of the car and grab somebody and say, "You can't do that." Right? It's a tricky situation. But I believe Baba's speaking to you within, and to trust that. Another thing that's really interesting is people would write to Baba while he was alive in the 60s, in the 1960s, their whole situation. Baba hears what's going on. Da, 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 and Erich would read this out. And Baba's response was, he could have said, "In this situation, I want you to do X, Y, Z." And Baba's response was, "I will guide you inwardly." Sent it off. "I will guide you inwardly." So Baba knew he was going to leave this life. He knew that he would leave this world, and that he would remain within us, guiding us internally. And he was telling this person, instead of giving him a spoon-fed answer, "Find me within and I will guide you." That for me is incredible. He was weaning us off his tit while he was alive and saying, "Find me within," because he's not going to tell everybody while he's alive what to do. He's saying, "Find me within, keep tuning into me. That's where you need to be for your guidance." That's amazing. Sorry, I get a little passionate about this.
Erich said to us, "Be determined to be his."
Yes.
Balnatu gave us return to center.
Yep.
And it's at those times when I can embrace both loss and gain that I can begin to approach surrender. And when you, thank you.
Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Alan Ray, for the insights and your beautiful question. And thank you, Lauren, once again for being with us. All of us thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm sure that we have, deeper introspective time now on the word surrender. In Hindi, there's this beautiful thing that Cyrus often says, and we always have this humorous liner. Sar also means head in Hindi, so surrender, which I said that sar, under his feet.
Yeah, right. Perfect.
And we have this humorous statement about it. So yes, surrender to Baba, and it reminds me of Misha's song as well. "Don't worry, be happy in my love,"
Yes.
which states the same thing. So
And
with that,
do we have anybody on the
no,
meeting? Do we have
no.
anybody who speaks Farsi or Persian speakers?
Is there any Farsi, Persian speakers right now? Please do a raise hand if you are.
Fareshte is here.
Farishta,
Oh, Fareshte.
I can't see her. Farishta, are you there? Yes, she's there.
All right, I have a question for Fareshte. I made the cover like this. Sir, rend her. Reste, in Farsi, what is rend?
Rend is often used by Sufi poets and scholars and writers, and it means someone who has no regard for established religious norms, customs, habits, and pretty much does what they want according to the dictates of the heart and the master.
Exactly. So I put that, I did this on purpose to make a joke for those who understand Persian, because Baba was Persian. Don't forget, he was Persian. So rend is in surrender. It means don't think that by following Shariat or following, rituals, puja, all these things, Baba said the three least important things are bowing to me, singing my arti, and putting garlands on me. That's the least important. And he said the three most important are love, obedience, and surrender being the absolute most important. So rend, for me, when I heard it in Hafez and in other places, right, Fereshte is going to confirm, it means go so deeply into your love for Baba that you don't care what the others think. You don't care if the Hindu temple says, oh, that person, they're on the wrong path with Baba. You don't care if the Zoroastrians say they don't go to fire temple. You don't care if the Jews say, why isn't he coming to synagogue? Because you're so deeply into your relationship and surrendering to Baba that none of that matters. And even Rumi had to deal with this with Shams. Shams said, okay, you want to be with me? Go bring me the biggest wine that you can find in the market, bring it to me. And Rumi is this prominent professor and teacher with a reputation. He says, but if I do that, they'll talk about me as being a drunkard and sinning and all that. He said, and Shams said, bring it. So Rumi brings the wine, and people said all kinds of things, right? But I mean, it's like that. Baba's saying, come so deeply to me that people will say anything and they don't know who you're following and why. Just do it and forget about religion. Forget about what anybody says about you. It doesn't matter. What matters is coming closer to me. And your ego will say, well, you don't want people to think that. So Baba says, let them think, let them talk. It doesn't matter. What matters is you coming closer to me. Sorry, I get passionate, but that's what I know.
Thank you so much. So now we will move ahead towards the closing of this wonderful East-West Satsang. Thank you, Laurent, once again for a wonderful, insightful evening to surrender further and further to Baba by holding on to his daman with both hands tightly. So we will play the Meher Dhun, followed by the Aarti before we end. I will just share the screen.
Baba, Baba, Meher 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 Baba.
अवतार मेहर बाबा की जय।
Oh, glorious, eternal, ancient one, your face is a bright, transcendental sun. Light and this dark world and the tears I weep, my heart there I give to you to keep. Creator, yet creationless you are. and roots vital, divine of the calm. Through compassion, God's three worlds maintain. Destroy this ignorance that life sustains. Inspired like star, the whirling spokes of breath of the world's wheel that bears me on to death. Unless you are infinitely kind, break the wheel of which is convicting mind. Its intent is my love, these fruits my heart, which to please you I have shaped from my heart. Accept them as you would a simple flower that has no use beyond its shining hour. You are myself, I sing to you in praise, and beg your love to bear me through the days. Till you, the ever-living perfect one, illume my darkness with your shining sun.
Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai. We'll have 1 minute of silence. Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai. Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai. Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai.